through it. Hopefully you can kind of see where the jumps are. One sec.
So I'm looking over this, and I can't help but notice that this land has great tracts of land.
Yeah, go ahead and make the joke. It's fine. All right. So I'll read the first paragraph. Our story begins in Cardenfell, a county on the island of Orsley, itself part of an archipelago known as the Bloody Isles. Cardenfell is rich in natural resources, with deposits of coal and silver, as well as large tracts of fertile farmland. In many ways, it is the beating heart of the Isles. As the saying goes, blood flows from Cardenfell. It is controlled by one of the most powerful and favored vampire counts of the entire Crimson Crown, and is as jealously guarded as it is viciously exploited. Zwatter, would you mind reading the next paragraph?
Okay, the vast majority of the population of Cardenfell is kept at or below a subsistence level of economic growth. Most of the population is made up of peasants, obliged to pay rent in blood, silver, or labor to the liege lord or landlord who owns the property they live and work on.
Okay. Mib, you want to take the next one?
Okay. Sorry, I've lost track where we were. I was just reading ahead of myself.
Starting at Blood Sterling. Yeah.
Blood sterling is the currency of the civilized world and is a powerful mixture of silver and blood, capable of transforming a person into a vampire. Imbibing blood sterling grants otherworldly powers at the cost of drinking human blood.
All right. And Ape? Yeah, of course.
Important to note is that vampires are not born or forced into their life, or even incapable of leaving it. A vampire who stops drinking blood will find their power wither away and their mortality slowly return. But most are unwilling to sacrifice the gifts of the blood, even if it means they would no longer need to feast upon their fellow man.
All right. Along the edge of Cardenfell, straddling its border, lies the forest known to all manner of folk as the Brinkwood. Since time immemorial, it has been left unmolested, as all know it as a realm of the Fae. Mothers and fathers warn their children away from it, telling legends of wights, wisps, beasts of snapping teeth, birds of sharp talons, and vines of twisting thorns. Few are foolhardy enough to venture within. Zwatter, you want to take the next one? Yeah, go ahead.
But you are not to be deterred by bedtime stories, and where vampires fear to tread, you might find allies. The forest proved itself dangerous and wild, snagging you with thorns, harrying you with beasts, and disturbing your nights with strange calls and cries. But still you persisted, and in time the Fae, curious as they were, sought you out.
Okay, Mib, take us home.
Under the great trees of the forest, on altars of ancient stone, you spilled your blood and pledged yourself to your cause, and the Fae pledged their assistance.
All right, excellent. Thanks for reading that with me, guys. So that reading is designed to kind of give us a good idea of the concept, the world we're playing in. I guess, are there any... First, I should ask, are there any questions about the concept or, I guess, changes people would like to see made for this game?
Makes sense to me. No. All my questions are I don't know, intentional questions, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Who are these Fae to deal with? Were there vampires before the Blood Sterling?
Mm-hmm.
I know where we are.
Okay.
But I have questions.
Sounds good.
It's an interesting reversal of the trope about silver being bad for vampires, given that silver was associated with the Christian God and holiness, and thus was bane to vampires. Mm-hmm. Which is the original reason they didn't show up in mirrors, because mirrors were made of silver.
Mm-hmm. It would also probably give you mercury poisoning or something as well. All right, cool. All right, so with the concept established, I'll just talk about the aim a little bit. So the aim overall of any game of Brinkwood is obviously to overthrow this vampire lord's regime, specifically in this county called Cardinfell. This is just going to be a one-shot, so you're probably not going to completely fix everything in one session, or else this would be a very short game.
You underestimate us.
Or we are very impressive revolutionaries.
Exactly. But is everyone okay with that being kind of like the stated goal of your group?
Yeah. I'm quite happy with that.
Okay. Sounds
Blood
Torch
for the-
vampires is a
Blood for
fun.
the blood god. Milk for the cornflakes.
Was there a question there? Okay. Moving on to tone. So this game is designed for a somewhat dark though adventurous tone. And I make the joke that any game I run eventually becomes a black comedy. And the idea that it's always okay to make jokes, even if things seem serious. Like, you're not going to mess up the tone by, cracking wise and that sort of thing. I don't mind it. Does anyone have any concerns about the tone or anything like that?
It's grim. Very grim.
As long as we're allowed to make fun of the grim, I'm fine. I think that tone was set by being allowed to make jokes about the huge tracts of land that the peasants are being financially exploited on.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. And last but not least, discussion of subject matters in order, which also kind of ties into safety tools as well. I like to use lines and veils, which is basically a way for us to set up things we don't want in the game, or things we want to just kind of veil or skip over in the game, that sort of thing. So some hard lines for me, things I don't like showing up in the game, are torture and sexual violence. And I think we can all agree this game probably doesn't need those.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So of particular kind of note with these, with this game is around violence, how bloody we want the game to be, how much descriptions of blood and gore and violence you want to be. I usually play this anywhere between PG-13 to R, kind of, where, there's stakings, there's blood, there's violence, but it's, it's intentional and, not gratuitous, I guess I would say. Is everyone kind of on board with that level of violence?
Yeah, I was gonna say Die Hard, not Saw.
That is an excellent way to put it. Yeah, I like that.
That's very good wording.
Mm-hmm. Another thing to be discussed is the issue of child exploitation, and I don't mean this in sexual terms or anything like this. I mean industrial exploitation. This world is kind of based on a anachronistic time period where kids live and work in factories, and were kind of exploited under capitalism. It shouldn't be a main part of this session. I think there's one of the pre-gens that has their background as being a cog scamper, which is the word for the children who work in factories. So I just wanted to check in and see if anyone wanted that element of the game veiled or lined out. That's fine too.
I don't think kids working it needs to be veiled or lined. I would avoid industrial accidents involving children.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds good.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm on board for that.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. Are there any other lines and veils people would like to see in this game, or not see?
I'm good with what's already been mentioned.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, no. And I think that covers most of it.
Okay. Yeah, and if you think of something or we run into something and you're like, oh, turns out I don't want that in this game, that's perfectly fine too. The other part of the safety tools is I use Brebo Sheldon's script change rules, which are basically, if you look at the Roll20 site, we've got these 3 cards: rewind, pause, and fast forward. And what you can do is you can click on these to like kind of get someone's attention or like move them around if you want to use them. You can also just say, pause, rewind, fast forward, that sort of thing. And the idea with these, you can pause the game for any reason, if you got to go to the bathroom, or if you want to talk about something that might be potentially upsetting to you, that sort of thing. If something happens in the game and is, not what we want to happen in the game, maybe it goes against the tone, or we're kind of pushing things a bit too far in the grimdark, or pushing things too far in the light and happy side, you can ask for a rewind, and we'll kind of like reset the scene a little bit. Lastly, there's fast forward, which is kind of works like Veils, where if we're doing something that could be getting upsetting and we just want to skip over it, we can always fast forward past it. These are also just useful for like if something is happening that's like boring, like I'm going on some long description of something that doesn't matter, you can always ask, hey, do you think we could fast forward past this? I'd like to actually play the game. So yeah. One more note about safety tools is they're not to be leaned on in the sense of like pushing more traumatic content. It can be sometimes an issue when you use safety tools that people kind of treat it as an excuse to go a little harder than they usually would. But use common sense. Don't try to upset people. I don't think anyone here would. But like, yeah, basically,
don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick is always rule number 1, even if you have safety tools. Cool. So, does anyone have any questions about those? Okay. Cool.
It's all good.
All right.
Yeah.
All good.
So, with that done, we can get to the fun part and look at some of the pre-gen player characters. So if you have Roll20 open and you go to the journal section, which looks kind of like a little newspaper, it's the 3rd icon over on the right. You'll see there's
no, just the second one, newspaper.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have access to things you don't. That's weird.
That might.
So I think you have I think you could. Yeah, you can put down the map. I think we don't have the map. We have the chat, then the journal, then the jukebox.
Good. Okay, that's fine. All right, but the important thing is you can find the journal, and you see 2 lists: one that says masks and another that says characters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll want to start with the characters. If you click on a character and go to character sheets, it'll have information about the character, as well as kind of a notes section that kind of talks about each character. And I'm going to read out some descriptions and just who they are. And if there are any that jump out at you as like, oh man, I gotta play them, let me know and we can claim them. So to start with, we have Marin, the clever sailor. Born to wheedle through the tight machines of Cardenfell's factories, the scaly, beleafed Marin found a second home as a sailor. Marin lived merrily until a vampiric passenger helped themselves to a midnight snack, their entire crew. Marin swore to avenge his found family and crew, no matter the cost. Next we have Enor, the exiled foundling. Raised by a curious fae in the heart of the Brinkwood, Enor found joy and peace where many feared to tread. They lived happily with their fae parents until a group of huntsmen spilled their fae blood on the edge of the Brinkwood. Shocked by the cruelty of the vampires, Enor exiled themselves from their corner of the woods, swearing not to return home until the vampires were defeated. Next is Ifig, the scion deserter. Ifig traced their lineage to a proud line of fae and deep folk warriors, trained to fight both on land and sea. When the vampires took power, their family was conscripted into the service of the local vampire lord. But after seeing the cruelties of the blood drinkers firsthand, Ifig found he could not stomach such barbarism. Instead, they swore to restore the freedom their ancestors once so proudly defended. Tekla, the Bloody Scholar. Born to an unlikely pairing of Sil and Devar folk, Tekla dreamed of reclaiming the mysteries of her parents' past. Tekla threw themselves into their studies, devouring tome after tome. It wasn't long before the vampires came for Tekla, offering them blood for their skills that they had so long honed. Enraged by the gross misuses of their knowledge the vampires suggested, Tekla cleverly dispatched her would-be patrons, earning them their bloody moniker. Now they swear themselves to wisdom, a slow, sure path to the vampires' defeat. And finally, Visant, the Emerald Friar. A crown of tines and emerald scales marked Visant as special to their artisan parents. They apprenticed for a bit before finding a calling to the faith. They studied dutifully, but soon grew disenchanted with the theology of the Reformed. Visant insisted faith should aid the meek, not enrich the elect. They swore to industry, to build a faith that aligned with the convictions in their soul. Those are our pre-gens.
Okay. I'm feeling iffy.
Okay.
I'm gonna just look at their character sheets a little bit.
I am one of those annoying people that points at other people at the table and says, pick my character.
I quite like the look of Enor.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll do Visant, I think. I'll do Visant.
Okay. You'll notice there are some proper nouns in Visant that I never defined. Mainly the idea of there being this thing about the faith. Essentially, Visant is a monk. What that means is entirely up to you.
Okay.
Basically, the current faith that is held in that is in power is not very good. It is in line with the vampires and kind of justifies what the vampires do. And there are other ways of looking at things and other religions, other denominations that don't so much like it.
If this weren't a one shot, I would rate you a theology text, but
exactly. Okay.
Guess that makes me Marin.
Okay. So we've got Marin, Visant, and Enor. Very good. Let's see what I got next here. Okay. Can skip that. Alright. Okay, and so let's go over your character sheets real quick here. So the things that are going to be important to your character are your... well, everything's important, but mostly, you know, your backstory, the idea that there is some tragedy in your past that basically made you want to become a revolutionary, and also a pact that you're sworn to. Pacts are basically the reason you fight, kind of, the thing that you are pursuing. For instance, Marin has a pact of vengeance. The idea that you're out kind of for revenge and to get justice, get vengeance for the vampires, for your murdered crew. But yeah, I should also talk about a little bit about folk and like what that means. So the idea here is that everyone in this world is descended in part from mythological creatures, or like older, not quite races. I call them folk instead, because the idea is they can all, they've all long since interbred, and there are people who have certain traits, certain characteristics that kind of carried over. So you'll see, based on your heritage, you have certain traits, which can help you out in the game as we play as well. So there's kind of some hints to what you look like, what your look is, how your kind of how your heritage kind of influences you. But all of this is up to you. All of this can be changed. Does anyone have any questions about their character or anything on their sheet for now?
Well, I've never played Blades in the Dark, so I'm not sure what most of this means.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Let me narrow that down a bit, because the idea is, yeah, things will become clearer as we play a bit.
Okay, that's why I'm fine with waiting till we get to the play part. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of misspoke. I guess, does anyone have any questions or any changes they'd like to make to kind of their background, or like kind of that first top left box of their character, so to speak of?
I don't know, not about that, but I'm going to just change my character's pronouns to he, him.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. So next step then is we should flesh out your guys' relationships to one another a little bit. So I have these questions I'm going to ask kind of randomly, but you get to decide. You'll see they're kind of open-ended. So let's start with Marin. Marin helped someone here out of a tight spot. Who was it, and what was the tight spot you helped them out of?
Trying to looking at the different characters and figuring out who was in a tight spot. Oh, I think Vizant was in a tight spot.
Okay.
And that Vizant had been talking up the face to the wrong sort of people, and very quickly found himself on the wrong side of the, not exactly the law, and needed to a quick retreat, and I helped to hide them on board my ship.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you down with that, Epe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this would be before Vizant lost his faith.
Mm-hmm.
This would be the pre. Okay.
Yeah, it's up to you when this happens.
Either way, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I don't think preachers are very popular at the dockyards anyway, so it doesn't terribly matter. But yeah, I'm good with it. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So Vizant, you helped someone's family out when times were lean. What did you give them, and who were they?
Occurs to me that both of my compatriots' families are dead.
Yeah, this would be
Yeah.
this would be before they died, I guess. Whoops, all orphans.
Orphan murder hobos have infested the. Anyway.
God damn it.
Okay, but my impulse is to say Enor's family, but Enor's family is Fey, and I don't know how I would help them. So I'll go with Marin's family.
Okay.
I guess Marin's found family.
Sure, my crew.
I have something in my inventory called Blessed Waters. I assume I have some clerical thing I can give.
Yeah,
Or
even
just slip
just
them some alms money.
yeah, even just like a blessing of the ship for a good voyage or something like that would make sense, you know.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it was an absolutely peaceful voyage, and it was faster than usual. Many thanks upon you. Turns out
That's
you
why
were actually a useful stowaway.
And I was gonna say that's why Marin let me stay in the ship.
Okay. Nice. Okay, and that brings us to Enor. So, Enor, you talked someone out of doing something stupid. Who was it, and what was it?
Well, possibly Marin. Maybe convincing them that that particular time was not the best time to go up against the vampire, that they weren't quite ready yet.
What
Or
do
one of
you
one of the vampire's minions.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? There's only one of me. I'm very stealthy. I don't have a whole army. They can't hide. It's just me. They'll never see me coming. I mean, come on, really? It's just
What's
one
go-
little vampire.
what could possibly go wrong?
What could
I'm
possibly
doing
go
this by
wrong?
myself. Obviously, I
Yeah.
cannot fail.
Well, you know, when your blood is up,
I
you
mean,
always think very, very clearly.
they're not suspecting. I have a cutlass. Obviously, I win.
I like
Yeah,
it.
no, guaranteed success all around.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I'm 4'7" has nothing to do with it. It just means I can hide behind bushes better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They never expect a cardboard box.
All right.
I guess
Well,
what do you say?
hey, if it worked for Solid Snake, it'll work for me.
All right. So eventually, somehow you talked Marin out of doing that, or maybe just, I don't know, got him drunk, or somehow prevented Marin from trying to take on a vampire lord single-handedly.
Hey, now, where's my sword?
Just hit it.
Oh, emergency cleaning. Had to take it to the blacksmith. They'll have it to you in a week's time.
Nice. I like it.
Edward, you are so thoughtful.
Thank you.
All right.
You're paid for that, right?
Sure.
Okay.
How did you know it wasn't my birthday?
I will pay the imaginary blacksmith imaginary monies.
Fair enough. Okay, and one more question for Enor. Enor,
Oh,
let's say Enor trusts Vasant for some reason. What is the reason Enor trusts Vasant?
you're cutting out.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3.
3, 2, 1, testing.
Yeah, now we can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine.
Roger,
now?
Roger.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Discord. So I was saying, Enor, you trust Vasant for some reason. What is the reason you trust Vasant?
Hang on. Well, I mean, friars are, trustworthy, aren't they?
Sure.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I grew up outside, or Enor grew up outside of cities, so he's quite impressed by Vasant's knowledge of how these sort of cities work. Because I mean, there was like a subsistence farming kind of vibe about the Fey village, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so he's not used to all this industry and sort of factories and things. So, I mean, Vasant's got a lot of experience of all of that.
Okay, excellent. I like it. All right. Now that we've all gotten to know each other, let's start some stuff up. All right. So as mentioned in the preview document I sent you, your band of revolutionaries, rebels, whatever you want to call yourselves, have received a summons, a message via courier that one of your trusted allies, or potential allies as the case may be, by the name of Clinder, a woman in the village of Sothmere, has invited you to her home to discuss an arrangement or some intelligence of mutual benefit. About what time would you guys like to arrive in Sothmere for this meeting?
Dusk is usually a nice atmospheric time.
Dusk sounds good. All right. Clinder welcomes each of you into her home, which is a cozy, thatched roof cottage. And as it's getting to be about dinner time and you've journeyed from the forest, she's prepared you some tankards of ale and a modest meal of shepherd's pie. That is rather heavy on the vegetables, a little light on the meat, but is delicious nonetheless. This is probably actually one of the best meals any of you have had in days. Possibly some of the best fare available in Cardenfell, at least at your level. This is peasant food, to be sure, but it's very good peasant food.
Enor is very complimentary.
Oh, well, thank you.
Positively effusive.
That's lovely to hear. I tell you, the secret is the ingredients. We're grown just here in this village, thanks to the land we have reclaimed.
Ah.
I hope someday all land, especially that which was deemed unusable and worthless by our current oppressors, will be used as our land is, communally, and all will and responsibly, so that all have enough to eat such fine food.
Enor looks a bit cross at the thought of all the vampires, but then he sort of regains his equilibrium.
All right. So over the course of the meal, as you talk, she asks each of you a little bit about yourselves, being that the reason that she gives that she likes to know a little bit about the people she's going to conspire with. She asks about your families, your lives, your reasons for doing what you do. What do each of you tell her?
Family? What family?
2 orphans and I'll probably I do not look like a cautious. I'll probably be relatively honest for my reasons, my motives.
Mm-hmm.
I will probably be rather vague about my family.
Yeah, that's reasonable. And she kind of nods along, getting the sense that, you know, maybe you don't want your family getting mixed up in what it is you're doing here.
They are humble, hardworking artisans that would probably die of fright if a vampire got.
Fair enough.
No, not probably would. See mother having a heart attack right now.
I think I'd probably tell them the PG version of the story. So focusing lots of attention on the before times, before the sudden burst of violence,
Mm-hmm.
of which he will draw a veil, and just stare very forthrightly at everyone around the table, making sure to make eye contact with everyone and just sort of nodding sagely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you kind of know how strongly he feels about this.
Mm-hmm. She'll nod along sadly. She might ask a few more questions about the Fae, and you get the impression that she, like pretty much everyone else you met, is very curious about the Fae and what they do and how they live. But she'll kind of restrain it a bit because she realizes now is probably not the time to ask too much about, you know, your dead family.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time someone's asked him about what happened, and you usually tell the same story the same way. But this is a special occasion, and she has been very gracious with her generosity, and he is very conscious of how much work goes into producing all of this, and sharing it with a bunch of strangers is an act that deserves some measure of respect in return. So he will kind of help her deflect a little bit by sort of putting it back to, oh well, you know, I'll tell you some of the things that the Fae used to do in terms of making sure that the crops are more successful in a harsh season than they would otherwise have been.
Oh, she's very interested in that. She actually takes down a few notes, scratching at it with an ink quill.
Okay.
Is very happy to hear of that, but kind of stops herself after a little bit and says, "Well, there will be time enough for that. We have other more important business to discuss at the moment."
Certainly.
Did you, Mib? Did you think of anything you wanted Marin to tell her, or is Marin gonna kind of be closed off?
No, he's a very gregarious, impulsive sort. So he's going to go on and ramble about his crew, and he's going to do that ADHD nerd storytelling where it's like constantly going off on a tangent. Oh, go back. Oh, we need context here, and this and that. Oh, wait, I forgot to tell you about this and that. Eventually, leading up to the fact that his entire crew was eaten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. She does her best to follow the story and smiles and nods along as you tell it. And then expresses sympathy when you get to the end, essentially. All right. And with that, she kind of nods to herself. She seems to have found you trustworthy enough, at least, to share what it is she knows. So after dinner has been served and conversation had, she brings out some after-dinner tea and some biscuits. And she talks a little bit about the intelligence the diggers have come across. To give some background, she'll say that lately the diggers have been, for most of their history, the diggers have not been much harassed by the vampires and their bailiffs and their servants. They tend to take up land that is deemed unusable, and they are very careful to avoid direct confrontation, because their concern is over food, supplying food, using land responsibly, those sorts of things. But lately, they've been getting into more and more trouble with essentially a gang known as the Powdermen. And the Powdermen principally operate out of cities. You're familiar with them. They're strange because they are the only ones kind of in the underworld that have some access to gunpowder and rifles and that sort of thing, which they really should not have access to. Things like gunpowder, steel, are very tightly controlled by the vampire lords, and no one is quite certain how exactly they have come into these supplies. But what Klinder tells you is that their spies, the Diggers' spies, have confirmed what many already suspected, which is that the local powder mills that produce the gunpowder are diverting gunpowder to supply the powdermen in exchange for bribes, some sort of thing. Also, the powder trade runs directly through Sothsmere, and she believes that on the outskirts of town, the caravan guards meet with the powdermen and hand over a few casks of black powder in exchange for some form of payment. She concludes by explaining that the Diggers themselves aren't really used to war and violence, so they don't have the muscle to really do anything about this meeting or try and ambush it, but that she heard that your group might have the resources, the muscle, the wherewithal to do something about it. She says that stealing the powder would probably be beneficial for you, but also just blowing it up is also an option and would probably serve both of your ends. So what do you think of this information when you hear it?
I am impressed that they've found the source.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Insert quote about the good book says nothing about kneecaps. But and I definitely think stealing the powder seems like long term a great, like, blowing up powder gangers and fine, that's I guess a good, but explosives are very useful if you put them in the right places.
Exactly.
So if we finding a way to flinch them, steal them. Filch is the. I am new to this crime thing. I'm sorry. Don't know this thieves' cant, you people.
Oh, that's okay. You can flinch all you want.
But the I think that would definitely be the better goal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if in the setting, do the Fae have any particular attitude towards guns and gunpowder? I don't imagine they'd be fans.
Generally not fans of explosives. Really, most modern tools are like either curiosities or like viewed as dangerous.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's up to you kind of which way Enor leans on it.
Yeah, I mean, so he's a beast folk, salt folk. So he's not Fae himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's heard enough stories about the dangers of it that he's kind of like, well, okay, getting this out of the hands of these people and maybe giving it to a bunch of farmers is not perhaps the best thing to do. But I mean, he's only met one of these diggers, so he doesn't really. It's not his place to judge.
Klinder kind of clarifies, and she says, "Oh no, don't worry yourself about that. We want nothing to do with it. You take the gunpowder and do with it what you will. We certainly don't want you to leave it here with us."
Oh, okay. Okay, well that's fine.
All right. Does Marin have any thoughts on this?
I'm a motherfucking pirate.
These things
I'm
called cannons.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you're very much pro.
I'm also going to metagame here, and I'm really wondering whether we should bring the Mask of Terror along.
Maybe.
I have
For
not yet looked at
for
the
one
masks.
specific reason,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you know which reason that is.
Mm.
But do a lot of stuff with some gunpowder.
Yes, it is a very useful
You
tool.
certainly could.
All right. So as you're discussing the merits of gunpowder, I would like to introduce some rules to you by having you all do a survey roll. So how roles work in this game is because we're in Roll20, you just kind of click on the thing that you want to roll. More dots means you roll more dice. You're looking for 6s, which are full successes, 4s and 5s, which are partial successes, and 1 through 3 is failures. So if each of you could roll survey for me by opening your character sheet and clicking on survey.
What position are we in?
This will be standard risky position.
Risky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Input value standard.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus dice is 0 because I have no dots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
I
leave bonus
think
dice 0. Yeah.
Yeah, no, bonus dice is for, like, advantage.
Right, yeah. So don't worry about that for now.
Oh, we take the lowest result.
So a 1. Cool.
Why did it roll me 2 dice though?
So when you have 0 dots in something, it rolls you 2 dice and you take the lowest result.
Oh, it's disadvantage. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's basically
I know this.
it's basically how do you roll when you would otherwise have 0 dice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, so my input value says risky, control, desperate, or fortune roll.
Risky.
Risky, yeah.
Risky, okay.
Basically, everything
There we go.
just
So standard was in the
enter,
second
enter.
one. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And can you just repeat where you get the bonus dice from?
You don't get any bonus dice for this.
Their circumstances.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, that's fine.
All right. So, Marin is the only one that's kind of quick on the draw here. As you're kind of listening and discussing gunpowder, Visant and Enor are very focused on the conversation that's being had. But Marin, you notice, the distinct sound of a twig snapping outside the cottage window, followed shortly by someone hustling away. What would you like to do?
Guys.
Huh? What?
Think we've been made. I hear somebody running away outside. And then I will immediately jump to the door and basically start to look for them.
Okay.
My first response. Go get them.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Or,
So, Marin acts first, because he's kind of on the ball. But Marin, you scramble to the door, run outside, and you see someone in a dark cloak, a hooded cloak, hurrying away. And I take it Marin hurries after them?
Sure, I'll chase them.
Okay. While that's going on, what are Visant and Enor going to do?
Well, I mean, once Marin lets us know. I think we're probably going to follow
Why
either
don't
follow him out or
you
like circle the
follow?
house.
Huh?
You just decide
Maybe-
what you're doing.
Maybe circle the house and see if there's anything else lurking out here. I want to chase
I
after
can
Marin.
Okay, I can circle the house. Yeah. I'll just do a quick check around. Maybe do I don't know if I have like a little blessing to do around the house quietly or something like that, but walk around the house a bit. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so Marin, go ahead and give me another roll.
Hunt?
Hunt, yeah, seems like a good one for this. Okay, a 5. So I'm also get to introduce progress clocks. So how these work is they basically keep track of what's going on in the game, how much progress you have towards completing an objective, which we will call this one the chase. And you rolled a 5, so standard effect. So we'll go ahead and put 2 marks on that one for the chase. What's a good minor consequence for this? Let's have the minor consequence be that as you start closing on this mysterious figure, they're going to very quickly kind of duck around a table, duck around a tree trunk, and kind of disappear from your field of view. And you might get the sense that they're going to try and lay some sort of ambush for you. So if you continue hunting them down, maybe you'll need to be more careful, or maybe you'll just go into a desperate position. Which basically makes things more risky. So you have the choice. You're right. So how this game works is you have the choice to accept that consequence, and that's just the way things are now, or you can roll against that consequence and take stress. So would you like to accept it, or try and cancel it out? Resist it. That's the word.
I guess I'll take it for now.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see how that works.
Mm-hmm. Let me take a look here. Sorry, I got a ping from somebody. All right. Meanwhile, Enor is looking around. No. Is this? No, Visant is looking around.
Enor went. Yeah, I'm looking around. Enor went after her, if I remember right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do Visant then. So you're looking around this place. Let's have you go ahead and roll study, and this will just be a fortune roll to see how much you get.
Oh, study! I have dots in that.
Yeah. Let's give you something that you have dots in.
Right. It's like, do not make me do survey again.
No, you're going to take your time with this one. So this will be in a controlled position, but yeah, fortune roll.
Oh.
A 5. Okay, good.
Okay.
There is a separate button for roll fortune.
Is there? Oh.
So go down below the
Oh,
skills, and then it's below associates.
Mm-hmm. This is fine, though, what you rolled. So 5. So what you notice as you're kind of looking around and maybe blessing the area around here against evil or whatever it is that was here, is you notice what appears to be a few, not quite specks, but like not quite little piles, but little smears of black powder in the dirt that kind of clue you in that whoever it is they're chasing is likely a member of this Powdermen gang.
Oh shit, they're packing heat.
Someone set us up the bomb.
Yeah, it's not like they set a bomb next to your cottage, but like it's more just that you notice that this is what's going on. So Enor is also chasing after this person. What kind of action would you like to roll for your chase?
Well, I don't have anything in hunt, but I don't think that matters. So do I just use insight, or do I use one of the other ones?
You can maybe use prowl if you want to say that Enor is maybe like being a little more sneaky than Marin, maybe trying to cut off this person you're pursuing, go a little unnoticed.
Yeah,
Marin
no,
is
I think that,
very, very loud and very obvious.
yeah. No, okay, so that's
Back
that's
here,
not-
you thief!
Get back here! I'll bite your ankles off.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So risky, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
Oh wow! Haha!
A 6, a
I
straight
am
success.
super sneaky.
Exactly, straight success. So no consequence. We'll tick this up 2 sides, and we'll say you kind of have the drop on this person now. Maybe you're kind of coming around. You've kind of taken a shortcut, and you're now in front of them, or where they would be. So you and Marin between you kind of have them boxed in a bit. What would you guys like to? What would you guys like to do next?
Well, I'll let Marin take the lead on this.
Mm-hmm. I'm not aware that Enor is chasing or where they are because they are very, very sneaky.
So sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't exactly maneuver to try and box them in. This would more be like Enor knows where I am and tries to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I am
I mean,
typically going to continue to chase them, I guess.
I don't think this is the first time we've like had any kind of fight with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I would imagine that this kind of thing happens a lot.
Yeah, Enor kind of knows the
those
deal.
one of the other-
weapons. Off tag teaming the bad guy
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, this is a common tactic. I chase people loudly, and you use that to maneuver around quietly. I have no idea where you are, but you know exactly.
Yeah, you know. catch
All
people
this
by
shouting.
Well, I mean, that's the point of shouting, right? So people can follow you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Marin, do you want to
It's
just?
not an accident.
Oh,
Yes.
bring your intestines up from the tree come Winterfest.
All right.
Oh,
Don't-
good. Taunt.
Come Winterfest is the part that's making me crack up the most about that.
All right. So, rules wise, so Marin, you're gonna continue hunting for this person, correct?
Hmm?
Okay. They've kind of tried to set up an ambush for you, so this will be a desperate position. So go ahead and roll hunt desperate.
They've set up an ambush. Does my scamp sense help me here?
Let's see. What does that do? You don't survive the
Have a
factories.
chance.
You will always have a chance.
I always have a chance to avoid.
Yeah, I like that. So you can reconsider this maybe, and maybe, if you can come up with a different action here, maybe something like prowl or something like that you're going to, some way that you're going to kind of
You are
thwart this
cutting
ambush.
out. I missed that.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3.
All right, hearing you now.
Okay.
Essentially, I need to come up with a justification to avoid the.
Exactly.
All right.
Basically, what is Marin doing to kind of thwart this ambush?
Thwart this ambush, huh? All right. Geez. Thwart the ambush. Well, do I have any idea that they've stopped running? I mean, are they, I'm no longer hearing them running and cracking twigs and disturbing leaves.
Right,
Do I-
exactly. They ducked behind a tree.
Yeah. Okay, so I have heard them stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, I know the perfect way to avoid this ambush. Start climbing.
I love it. Okay. Let's have you roll
I'm
prowl.
also slippish.
You are slippish, so you take +1 when climbing. So yeah, roll prowl,
Yes.
risky with 1 bonus die.
Prowess, risky,
Prowl.
bonus die. You were cutting out, but that's what prowl.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Oh, being annoying here.
Death from
Oh!
All right. So that's 266. That is a critical success, meaning you get some advantage on top of success. So yeah, so Marin scampers up a tree, and you can look down and you can see this person, this spy, crouching behind the tree that you just climbed, and you now have the drop on them. What does Marin do once they kind of have the drop on this person?
Oh, geez, that's a tough call. No, that's not a tough call at all. I'm gonna dive down and stab
All right.
death from above.
Yay!
A leap of faith. Nice, nice.
I'm,
Classic.
I
Well, look, it's a blade in the dark.
Can I make a slight suggestion? Perhaps more forethought than we're used to here. If he was spying on us, I would personally like to know who now knows we're coming.
Fair enough. Well, there's only so much control I can do when trying to stab somebody while flying through the air. So we'll
That
see
is
whether
true.
or not I kill them in
We'll
one.
see if he dies.
I'm attempting the wild aerial maneuver known as Sephiroth skewers the flower girl.
God. All right.
Or with skewer the flower girl as a move. Gotta use that.
All right. So Enor, you see, not to your surprise at all, Marin dives down from the tree, and we'll say stabs this unlucky person through the leg. But yeah, they're done. This chase is over. They put up their hands and say enough. And we'll say Vasant can hurry along as well, and be there too.
Okay.
Having confirmed that there is no bomb waiting to destroy us.
Yes. You have confirmed
Okay.
that.
And then I'm gonna look around to make sure that there isn't anybody else waiting for this guy to give them a signal or anything.
No. You look around and you don't see anything. Yeah, if he was working with someone, he didn't make it to them, and wasn't able to signal. What would you guys like to do next?
I want answers.
Let me check if I can do talkie. Well,
That would probably be sway or command.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
And can sort of guess would be accessing the church, not or the faith, not the. I can try to convince him to tell who sent him to kill a harmless man of the cloth. Before I attempt such lies, are such lies believable? Like we're not known. Are we known? Make sense?
No, you are not. It would be a big problem if you were, essentially.
I figured. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
no, we're partly taking from Robin Hood here,
Right.
and Robin Hood is sometimes known to be a notorious outlaw. I didn't know if we were including that also.
Yeah. So
being kept.
it's the difference between like, so people might know Robin Hood, the mythical the figure, but they don't know he is Robin of, what was it, like Locklear or something like that.
Locksley.
Yeah, of Lonsley,
Yeah.
like an actual person, you know. So
That's why I wanted to clear. I wanted to, before I go. Why would you hurt? Why were you running? Why were you running? And more importantly, why were you trying to blow us up? I didn't want to then walk into, 'cause it's you.
Right. Yeah. So the spy will answer very hurriedly that he wasn't there to blow you up. He works for the Powderman gang. He's new. Okay. He's brand new. They told him to keep an eye on this old woman. He's not sure why, and just to report back anything suspicious. If you let him go, he'll go back to his farm. He won't be any more caught up in this than he already is.
Why did you join them in the first place, then?
He said, "Well, I mean, it seemed like a good way to make money."
Okay. Are you reconsidering that opinion?
Yes, I don't think any amount of silver is worth this. Ah, my leg.
I don't think you saw anything unusual tonight, so I think we can let him go. Right? Nothing unusual.
Right. I didn't see anything.
I
Okay.
don't know. I think he saw all of our faces.
What
Nothing
faces? Who are you?
unusual.
My
What's
face
a
isn't
face?
that unusual.
Now that I think about it, maybe we should wear masks to the meetings.
Dinner? That seems horribly impractical.
Just
Okay.
I
mean-
had a mask once.
what?
But then you got better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there any way that we can tell whether this guy is genuine?
Yeah. I'll take care
or
of that
is
in a
that kind of left up to role playing?
No, it's fine. This you can tell this guy's genuine. But here's what I'll say: this guy will not be a problem for you going forward, even if you let him go. The main thing is, like, do you have any more pressing questions for this guy?
I feel like we should, but I can't think of any.
Don't worry about it. Here's the beautiful
Oh.
thing about this game. So there's something called flashbacks in this game. So if 20 minutes
Okay.
from now you think, oh damn, we really should have asked that guy this, we can always flash back to this scene and have you ask him that and give you an answer. So what we're
I
gonna
like it.
So what we're going to do in this case, this guy doesn't know a whole lot more, but what happens is, basically, Klinder will approach you after a little bit and will offer to basically take this guy into her custody and keep an eye on him until after you guys have done what you're gonna do, so he can't, run back and report to his masters. So you don't have to worry about him going forward.
Okay.
But yeah, and we can always flash back to this scene later if we need to. Is there anything?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to sort of go up right close to him and sort of just go, like, just make it clear to him that choosing friends is something you need to do very, very thoughtfully, because you don't know. Whenever you make friends with someone, you make enemies of other people, and you kind of have to be very careful and make sure you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want me as an enemy.
No, no, I really
also,
don't.
I don't think you want the powder men as friends. That's going to be more kind of Inora's angle. Like, if you hang out with the powder men, bad stuff is going to happen to you, and you don't look like the kind of person who belongs with her.
He nods and agrees emphatically.
Maybe he belongs with me. I'm just going to lick the edge of my blade.
No one, I think, belongs with.
Ooh.
No.
Okay. All right. I think we will wrap things up for this scene here. We've been playing for about an hour and a half. Do you guys want to take a quick break?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm go back to figuring out how to make gold skin. Not.
Okay. I'll be back in
All right.
about 5 minutes.
Okay. Cool.
All right, is everyone back?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You can be back. I'll be Marin.
All right. With that, let's get started again. So, after the spy has been dealt with, we shift the game into downtime. The first thing that happens is, as you say your goodbyes to Klinder, she sends you off with some supplies as a token of the digger's goodwill. In future forays, if we kept playing, you would receive other different resources, reputation, and favor with the different factions. For now, I won't explain exactly what supplies do mechanically, but they're things you basically need to live. You know, food, wood to make shelter out of, nails, hammers, anything that you would need in a kind of generic category. So after you say your goodbyes, you travel back to your forest refuge in the Brinkwood. And as you do so, your Fey benefactor welcomes you back. So your Fey benefactor for this one shot, Ismera, is named Ismera, and she is a Fey of the Dawn. She is childlike and playful, and she appears to you as a small androgynous child, clothed in a dress woven from leaves and spider webs. Atop her head is a ring of dandelions with gold filigree stems. Her cheeks are perpetually rosy, and there are shining sapphires where her eyes might have been one time. They are excitable, curious, and enthusiastic. So they run up. I think maybe she likes Enor best. I think that's one of Enor's traits.
Yes.
So she runs up to Enor and says, Enor, you're back. I'm so excited.
Why, yes, I am.
How was your trip? Did you bring me anything?
Well, I would have had to try and... Well, I'd probably carry something around from the forest that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just some sort of small... like some... just like a very pretty leaf or something that I would have found.
Oh, she takes it and is very excited about it, and kind of turns it over a couple times and look at it, and she says, yes, this is a very good leaf. And she sticks it into her crown. And she says, and look.
I thought you might like that.
I got something for you, too. I caught this for you. I caught a very clever toad for you. And in her hand, she holds out a frog to you in her hands.
Okay. I will very happily accept the frog.
And I found other things, too. I found, Marin, I got you this very interesting stick. And
Marin loves the stick. I would think Marin and Mara also get along very well.
Awesome. Vasant, I made you something too. And she kind of holds out this tiny horse made out of glass, like a little glass figurine horse, but it looks like it's actually alive, like it moves around a little on her hand. She says, it didn't come out quite right, though. You can have it if you want.
Well, it's lovely, child. I will make sure it does not get damaged in my study.
Excellent. So what did you find? What'd you have? Tell me everything about it.
I'm waving the stick around like a conductor's baton while I hum music.
Well, we had a meeting with someone that, all things considered, went fairly well, I think.
Oh, yeah? What was their name?
Why you gotta do this to me, Marin?
It was in the village of. It was in the village of Solfner. That's what I remember. Wait, no, we were going to the village of Solfner. Inor just scratches his head at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did they ever tell me their name? I know they asked my name, but did they never tell me their name?
No, we know their name. I literally just forgot.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you guys on the spot.
This is not in character forgetfulness. This is me, the player, going, wait, fuck.
Can we have a flashback to when we met her?
Real quick.
Let's take a 5-minute break and come back, and I'll quiz you on what just happened.
No.
Oh, Jesus. No, sorry.
I am bad at names both in game and in real life. If consolation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it starts with an M. I want to say, hold on. Matron?
Sure.
Am I off by any? Did I get any syllable correct?
No, her name was Klinder.
Damn
It's fine. Don't worry about
Not
it.
even the right letter. Fuck.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to kind of tell her about where you went and what you did?
I'm gonna mention that Marin jumped off a roof to stab someone again.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Why did you? Who did you stab? Also, what is stabbing?
What?
When you poke
Children can know
somebody
stabbing.
with a metal stick and they go, "Ah, you got me."
She kind of looks
Inor's gonna
around,
try.
picks up a stick, and pokes Marin with it. Like
Ah,
that?
you got me.
She laughs and claps her hands, and she says, "That seems fun."
You know the vine of what do you have? A knife?
No!
I feel like that's inevitable. Anyway.
But no, it was a man who was trying to listen to things that he shouldn't be listening to,
Oh. Okay.
and so we had to catch him and tell him, "Hey, you weren't allowed to listen to that. You need to ask if you want to know my name." And you never asked, and that makes you a very, very bad person.
Oh,
I am now,
okay.
as a player, slowly realizing we're treating this Fae like a child, and she's probably older than the wood we're in.
Exactly. She's like 1,000 years old or something. Don't worry about it.
Marin is
Okay.
very erratic.
Mhm. But also she acts in a very childlike manner.
True, true.
Okay.
If I've learned one thing from Faye, it's act the way they do or die.
Exactly. Okay.
Him?
So after interacting with Esmera for a little bit, she eventually kind of gets distracted or goes off to go do something else, humming all the while, and occasionally stabbing different things with her new stick.
That's gonna come back to bite us.
Again, she's gonna find a knife.
Just be glad it's not a metal stick, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
Please, just in future, do not give ancient Fae beings ideas. They don't need any more ideas.
I assume she knew a murder.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, but you never know. She may have been distracted or forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Do not explain. Quietly writing on the inside cover of the prayer book, things to not mention to the small child.
It's like a really long list at this point.
Yes.
No, I know the actual title of this list. Things Marin is no longer allowed to say to the Fae.
Exactly. I'm making Marin
Yes.
crawl. Marin mentioned stabbing.
Yeah. All right.
If this ever gets podcasted, I want my listeners to be very clear on who did and did not mention stabbing.
Nice. Okay.
You mentioned stabbing. I'm the one who described what stabbing is.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think it was
So
kind of
let's
like a
see.
tag team effort there.
Okay.
Oh well.
So
the most important word out of that whole exchange, though, is again. Marion jumped off a roof and stabbed somebody again.
Again.
Exactly.
I like the implications of that. Yeah.
All right.
I heard that right away. I'm just like, oh.
Someone's paying attention. All right. So, next up in downtime is you guys have some time to prepare before this next shipment is supposed to come through Sothsmere. So you have some downtime you can take. So if you look at the reference sheet I gave you, there should be a section. Which page was it? That says downtime activities. Yeah, it's the second page. It says downtime flowchart. So we took care of payoff. We're not going to do heat right now because you guys didn't really go very loud at all. You took care of the spy quiet. But each PC gets 2 downtime actions that you can do to kind of spend time while you're preparing. So yeah, you can look over those options. You can only do one option one time, so you can't like train twice or work on a long-term project twice or anything like that.
Okay.
A lot of these won't necessarily be very helpful to you right now because you didn't take any stress, but it might be a good idea to just train once, for example.
Okay.
So if I train, I just mark XP.
For the sake of this game, we're going to say, because it's a one-shot, you just get 1 dot in one thing that you want.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna train, and I'll practice a hobby. Let me see if my sheet includes what my hobbies are.
Right at the very top.
Yeah.
Well, I have craftsmanship, so I was gonna actually just like, I don't know, maybe make a wooden horse or something.
That's fine.
So let's see.
Relieve stress, mark off essence slots equal difference if you clear more stress than you have.
Yeah. So let's not worry about that because you guys didn't take any stress, but we can say you practiced at a hobby.
Okay.
That's fine.
I figured it's more it's just narrative than mechanical at this point.
Yeah.
So do we think, just out of curiosity, should I generalize or specialize, do you think?
You mean take a dot in something you already have?
Should I take a dot in something I have?
new?
Take something new. So, for example, I have 1 dot in study, and that is my only insight. I assume someone in the group can tinker.
I have 1 in Tinker.
I do not.
Well, I guess we're mostly just listening in on this meeting. Okay, so I don't want to make a roll.
I'm going to take
So-
something in skirmish.
Okay.
I've also
Take 1 point in
taken
skirmish.
a point in skirmish, given that I apparently leap off of roofs and stab people on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then for my second action, I'm going to work on my long-term project, which is I have this fine ashwood staff that I use, and I'm continually carving in the story of what's happened so far.
I like it.
I'm
cool.
I'm gonna take a dot into rec.
Okay.
If I ever make a distraction, I will be doing it by loudly screeching at people, or acting old. No, because I just noticed I have 2 in skirmish and 1 in prowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know. I find it interesting. I like that the friar is apparently very physical.
Right.
For my jokes, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very cool. All right. So you spend your downtime training, working on some projects, carving a story into a staff, carving a wooden horse, maybe. Okay. So we can move forward then. And we move into the planning phase of the game. So, to review kind of the intel you've been given, you know that where and when an exchange between a caravan carrying black powder and this Powdermen gang is going to take place kind of on the outskirts of this village you just visited, Sothsmere. So now you need to kind of decide what you want to do about it. So the first step is to determine what your goal is. It sounded like you guys maybe wanted to steal this black powder.
I was in favor of stealing it, yes.
Okay.
I know that was not a universal.
Well, I'm not opposed to stealing it. I think it's a good idea to get it out of this community before anything bad happens.
Right.
Right.
I am in favor of explosions no matter where they are.
Doesn't need to be a now explosion. It can be a later explosion.
Yeah. So basically, if it all blows up while we're doing the job, I'm going to be happy. If we use it to blow something up later, I'm going to be happy. If we fail to blow up the gunpowder or steal it, I am going to be very mad, and I'm going to have to be showing Mara how to stab more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can make sure that you're happiest by having you jump off a building onto somebody while behind you something is blowing up.
The question I have is not seeing the explosion, therefore being a cool guy, the goal, or if you don't see the explosion, does that just like defeat the point?
I think you're skipping over the really important question. Does this setting have sunglasses?
It's anachronistic, so yes.
That, I mean, the who is it had sunglasses? The crap, who was it that had sunglasses? There are groups that had sunglasses shockingly early.
Mm-hmm.
Or so people who keep trying to get them in my D&D games keep telling me. Anyway.
Awesome.
No, that Select totally had wooden sunglasses. And I'm sure they did. I just learned that fact when I was like, James, I want to play a kobold. Or was that a drow? Someone who couldn't go out in the sunlight. Anyway.
Yes, the light, it burns. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
The vampires have sunglasses.
The only early sunglasses I knew of where the Inuit used the narrow slit in their glasses for no blindness, but not
I think
exactly
I think we're thinking of the same group. Anyway, so
right. So let's move forward. So we have a goal: steal the gunpowder. Now we need to come up with a plan. And when I say come up with a plan, I don't mean you guys need to plan out in detail what you are actually going to do. It's you got to select from one of these options. So if you look at the reference sheet, on the second page, lower left, there's a planning section, and there are several different plans to choose from.
There's a reason John Rogers loves this game.
Well, I mean, these aren't vampires, so I'm happy with just taking their cool stuff and using it to actually blow up some vampires or their minions or something.
Okay, so our idea is that this caravan full of black powder is going to be on the road between point A and point B.
Yeah.
All right.
Where's the? Oh, okay, determine a plan.
It's on the character sheet and it's also on the reference sheet. So.
Yeah. I'm looking at the reference sheet. Okay.
It's right where downtime was.
Yeah. I'm. Yeah. So I don't think we're not doing stealth or occult. I don't think.
We could. Well, stealth is a possibility. I don't think occult is.
No.
I'm not
Unless
really
Vasant
sure
wants
about
to get really creative.
it. I mean, stealth can be very much just slipping in unseen when they camp for the night and making off with the goods.
That is an option.
Yeah.
I feel like attack is not what we're going for either.
No.
I do not want to assault the men with guns. I'm an American. I know what that means. I'm not putting up with that.
Marin disagrees loudly about the value of the assault tactic.
It's a useful tactic for other times where we are not literally going around high explosives.
Yeah.
All you need is the riot mask at this point.
All right. So it sounds like we're not crazy about assault. We're not crazy about occult, which leaves deception, stealth, social, and like transport isn't really applicable quite here.
No.
We're anti-transport.
Right, we're doing reverse transport. That's what I was going to ask. Would this be transport, but like backward?
Being the danger that they carry it through. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, transport essentially if you're pulling off a smuggling job, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Carry cargo through danger. So.
So I don't know if we're gonna be able to pull off deception.
Well,
I don't know.
I
mean,
can
maybe.
do sway decently. I have a dot and sway.
So you have swagger?
One
Is
dot's
that
worth.
where sway come? That's fascinating. Yes. The other end of that is I have 1 dot's worth of swagger, not a lot.
Yeah. What was that video said? More dots, more dots, more dots. But I don't. I only have 1 point consort, and that's my only resolve.
So it sounds like stealth might be the best idea for you guys, because you're not really built for socializing and tricking people, it sounds like.
Can I remove my thing from rec then?
Yeah, if you want to move it somewhere else.
Unless we want to do me as a distraction.
Well, we still have to figure out our basic approach. Stealth can be sneaking in and liberating the goods while they're, while under their noses. Deception could be any kind of deception that allows us to take control or distract them.
I mean, I suppose we could instead of trying to use deception as like a social skill, like do something to, I don't know, make them think that there's something up ahead and stop. But I mean, we're not going to be able to. I mean, the problem is we've got to be able to stop them doing what they're doing, and then steal whatever's on the back of that wagon. And we don't know how much gunpowder they're going to be carrying or how heavy it's going to be.
Oh, well, actually, we should know how much gunpowder they have.
We might be able to do that. Might be a good flashback.
Yeah. So quick.
Even the diggers would have had an idea of how much is being transported.
Yeah. So either way, what you know is that it is a wagon full of gunpowder, and also the spy would tell you that he thinks something else is being transported on it as well. He heard like some muttering about an extra delivery being made, but it is a wagon full of barrels of gunpowder with something extra.
Okay, so a barrel of gunpowder is going to be fairly heavy.
Yeah.
which means our
Wagon.
ability to lift a barrel and run off with it is A, limited, and B, that's only one barrel. So essentially, we're going to have to steal a wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have to steal their wagon from them.
So I
About in
think
60
stealth is a
minutes.
good plan. If only because I don't know if we can steal their wagon from them while they're on it.
Yeah.
How
That's
big's the caravan? We got the one wagon of the gunpowder and such, and it's like one or two wagon drivers. Are there like guards, outriders?
What you know
I mean, they
is-
can't have that action because they're doing this on the down low.
Right, yeah. It's so the main thing is there's going to be a wagon. There's going to be maybe one or two guards / drivers of the wagon, and then the main problem though is that they're meeting with these powdermen people, who are basically going to take some barrels off the wagon.
Are you all thinking what I'm all thinking?
Disguise yourselves as Batman and steal the fucking stuff.
I'm thinking that maybe we should suddenly somehow become powdermen.
That would be
I
deception.
That would be
I don't know if I can pull that off.
birds.
Giant antlers,
Actually, wait. But
like actual antlers.
we don't all need to be powdermen.
Hmm.
We just need someone. Okay, so your idea is we become powdermen and then we make off with the stuff by being the riders, right? By being the person driving the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that they're meeting with the powdermen, so they would meet with us instead, because the powdermen are behind us or indisposed somehow. And then, when their guard is down because they're expecting to meet with us, we can subdue them or something and make off with the wagon.
Or just put it on the wagon. So, okay, what about this for that plan? You disguise. I actually don't know this. Do you have like a crew or something you can make use of? Like,
No.
can we get more? No. Okay. Okay. My thought was, two of us can cause the distraction to delay the powder. One of us then borrows the powderman who we just kind of mugged, borrows his uniform, and then and picks up the stuff.
I like this plan. So yeah, and you can all three disguise yourselves as powdermen. Like the antlers are not as big of a problem as you think they are. Essentially, like it sounds weird, but like there's probably one antlerman, one powderman with antlers or something like that.
Okay.
Like it's not that out of ordinary to see someone with antlers.
Okay.
But yeah, are you guys on board with this plan to essentially ambush the powdermen, steal their stuff, then basically trick the caravan guards into handing over the wagon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
That sounds all right.
Okay, all right.
So, Marin, what would you like to be doing in this whole mission then?
Ambush, right? I hear ambush.
Okay.
I can do ambush. Nobody suspects somebody my size to be dangerous.
Let's move that from rec to. I'm gonna move my thing from rec to sway. I have 2 dots in sway.
That's probably for the best.
You've got move like swagger.
All right.
Gonna move, move that swagger.
All right. So, with our plan more or less set, we're in good enough place here, I think. Don't worry about it if it's not. It'll become clearer as we go on. Let's go into masks. So the last sheet in the reference sheet, the last page in the reference sheet has a listing of the various masks you can take. So you can each select one mask. You'll see it has kind of intended roles, as well as like kind of what it, to kind of give you an idea of like what I expected these to be useful for. So in this case, you know, pretty much all of them would probably be a good idea. Maybe not Riot, maybe not Torment, but certainly Terror, Violence, Judgment, Lies, all kind
Tips
of
on violence.
All right.
You see, this is why I asked you what you would like to do, Marin. Because I had a
on
suspicion
violence.
you'd go for that one.
It was that or terror.
Okay. So
if
Marin.
this wasn't such a small scale operation, I would actually probably go with Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Riot has a power that if you start an impassioned speech, something catches on fire.
I suppose we
Indeed.
could have a quiet riot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll shut myself off.
All right. So Marin selects violence. What about the other? What about you other two?
I'm gonna have to go with lies.
Okay. Enor will select lies. How about Vasant?
Okay, so not terror.
You could go with terror.
I'm checking off.
Oh, you could be the terror that preaches in the night. You could be the Bible verse that says nothing about kneecaps.
What? I think that's all of them, surely.
Lay down arms, light match. Well, but the reason I was saying no is, well, I guess calm tensions is going to be useful. I was looking at light the match.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That's in terror, yeah.
But that's gain potency to any explosions you engineer. So if we come back to this and we blow up some vampires, we have to bring terror with us.
Well, even if you
Calm
blow up the
tensions.
gunpowder right now, it'll still add that. Yes.
Yeah, but
That's not the
yes,
plan.
but we are. Yeah, that's not the plan. Please stop trying to get me to cause an explosion. Please.
I have altered the
I'm worried
deal. Pray I do not alter it further. All right.
I have exploded the deal. Pray I do not explode any further.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what are we thinking, Vasant? Are we going with terror or?
I'm gonna go with terror. Yeah.
Okay. Dang it, I did not really explain what your masks things do. Let me double check. Did I make a note of this? Yeah, consider how many masks. Okay. Okay,
The
so...
masks have lots of abilities, but no skill points.
Yeah, so here's how this is going to work. You will select one special ability, and then you will assign 2 dots to one mask action, and 1 dot to another mask action. And you can ask me if you have questions about mask actions. They don't have like good subtitles to tell you exactly what they are, so I'll have to like explain them if you're confused on it, but hopefully they all make some semblance of sense.
Trying to figure out the difference between Slaughter and Carnage.
So yeah, Slaughter is let me see. God damn it. Sorry, I gotta look up my separate rule sheet about this. So slaughter is close personal violence. So it's when you're up close and personal with someone, you use slaughter. Whereas carnage is at a distance, using deft bow work or power or rifles to clash with a foe.
Right. Does that happen to perhaps stack with my skirmish ability already?
Yes. So let me explain a little bit about how mask abilities work. So what you can do with them is you have two options when using a mask ability. You can just use it in place of another skill, in which case it will be just like usually it'll just be like a better version of what you were doing, and it will slightly increase the effect. Or you can spend a point of it, which kind of removes it from the mask for the duration of the score in order to improve your effect on a different skill. So let's say you wanted to be sure you really put the hurt on someone, you could use skirmish to fight with them and spend a point of slaughter to increase the effectiveness of your skirmish roll, if that makes sense.
Or I could just regular old use slaughter.
Exactly.
And we get 2 points between the two of them.
You get 2 points
2 points
on
this
one and 1 point on another, so a total of 3.
Yeah,
3.
you get 2-1-0-0.
Mhm.
So, Enor, since we're going to be doing the social stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take no lords, no masters.
Okay.
Wait, no, that's gain potency when soothing the souls of the oppressed. I need something to help with that. Do you want me... I can go for the fear aspect.
Okay.
I can be the emergency guy, or I can be the bombs.
Oh, sorry, what was the last word?
Bombs.
Okay.
So I have frighten, awe, disarm, and explode.
Okay. Yeesh. Um.
I'm asking for what
Hmm.
what
Okay.
Yeah.
So my strategy is going to be to not stand out and not draw any attention.
Okay, so I can be the shouty person if you need that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we need to create like a between the two of us, if we need to create some sort of a diversion or thing, then one of us does that and the other one sort of sneaks around and does something while everybody's distracted.
What does awe do? It looks like the description looks the same as my study ability.
Yeah. That's wrong. So awe, you create a spectacle so fantastic as so it cannot be ignored. So it's to gain attention, put attention on you, distract people, that sort of thing.
I'll take 2 awe, and then I'll take shock and awe.
Mm-hmm.
And shock and awe is whenever you perform a desperate action, pay 1 essence to take +1 effect,
Mm-hmm.
as all are shocked and awed by your audacity.
Nice.
I feel like that's good for distracting, and then I'll also take frighten. What is potency, by the way, out of curiosity?
So
Say gain potency.
So it kind of ties into how effect works. Essentially, it increases your effect. Is the most basic way to say it.
Scaling it up from like a single person to a group to a building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, when we kill the vampires, let's bring terror and riot with us.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, there definitely be riot. But I'm thinking my character is just going to be slaughter, and more slaughter.
All right.
I kind of just want to put all 3 points of the slaughter, but apparently I can't.
Sorry.
Apparently.
Not this time.
Okay, because I was thinking of taking 2 points in deceive and 1 point in hide.
That sounds good.
Sounds good, yeah.
And the special abilities, there's many faces, so I can actually make myself look like one of them. So if we knock one of the people unconscious, I just need 1 drop of blood, and then I can transform myself to look like them.
That's pretty
which
useful.
might be helpful if you're
I know
Vasant
this.
if Vasant is busy sort of creating some sort of magical spectacle, they won't be necessarily looking at me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sounds like a good plan.
Wait, I know that ability. That's called Polyjuice Potion.
Shush.
Disguise self.
Disguise self
Hat.
with blood.
Hat of Disguise Self.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So yeah. So
All right.
after you guys choose your masks, Esmera carefully brings them to you and holds them out. So the next part of this is your oaths, I think. Let me double check how I wrote this out to work. So yeah. So it is strongly recommended that you swear some sort of oath to gain power for your mask. So basically, if you look at your oath on your character sheet, basically you want to set something like, it doesn't have to be super specific, but it should be something you plan to do during this foray related to your oath. For example, Marin has vengeance, so maybe, killing someone would be an oath. Or for Vasant industry, maybe it would be like preserving the black powder or something like that, to make sure that you can use it later on or something like that.
I like the idea of swearing to preserve the black powder.
Okay.
I shall.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so mine is the wicked must pay for their crimes, and I think it kind of depends on how awful these powder men actually turn out to be. At this point, I think it's just gun runners.
Mm-hmm.
But depending on what else is on this wagon, and I've got a bad feeling about it, I may be more. And he's gonna take a wait and see thing. At this point he thinks that there are worse evils in the world that this can be used against.
Okay. And Marin?
I shall spill the blood of the complicit.
All right. I like it. Okay. So, yeah. All right. So the next step is your loadout. So how equipment works in this game is you do not need to choose up front what you're taking with you. You choose how heavy you're going into something. So basically, there are three options. There's light, medium, and heavy. If you choose light, you get to bring less things into the game, but you move swiftly and silently, and you don't look suspicious at all. If you choose medium load, you move normally, and you appear like a traveler, well equipped for the dangers of the road, so a little more suspicious. And finally, heavy load, you move a bit more slowly and with a bit more difficulty, and you look like what you are, which is a bandit or a revolutionary ready to do violence. So each of you can select on your character sheet, not necessarily your mask, whichever character sheet you want to. Probably your mask sheet would be better for this. Which load you want to take.
I'm gonna go light. I don't feel like we're gonna need much.
Okay.
Yeah.
On our end.
Sounds
I mean,
good.
the worst case scenario, you need a set of matches
Mm-hmm.
and a fast pair of legs.
Yeah, no, medium load for me.
Okay, sounds good. All right. And with that decided, we move to the engagement roll. So this kind of depends. This sets up what situation you're in when we jump into the action.
Do
and
we not roll for essence for our oath?
oh, yeah, thank you for reminding me. That is important. So, let me look up how you do that again real quick.
Roll lowest attribute and take the highest die.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just double
As per
checking
the
that.
As per the reference sheet.
Oh, if it's on the reference sheet, then that's what it is. Sorry.
Swearing an oath, you make your oath, roll your lowest attribute, gain essence equal to highest roll.
Mhm.
If you do not fulfill your pact, it sucks
Yeah,
until you do.
exactly. Okay, so your attributes being prowess, insight, etc., etc. So
And there's one, and your rating in each is how many different skills you have in it, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll 1 die if you have 1 skill, 2 die if you have 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you just basically figure out which of the 3 categories has the least different skills, and then click the name of that category,
Oh, that's easy.
and then just.
What do you do at top?
So, just to check, does it count that I've basically not count? Basically, I haven't really taken an oath in this case. I'm kind of taking a more wait and see approach, or is that?
I think that's taking an oath in this case.
Yeah.
An oath is something you would have to do before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, basically the thing is,
Because you haven't
forgot my
really
own name
decided
now.
on what you're doing yet, you mean?
yeah, I mean, Enor is gonna go with whoever he thinks is the greater evil. He's has to suffer
Okay.
the consequences of this gunpowder, and he doesn't know who that is yet.
Right. I would say that still qualifies because the idea is that's something you're going to do. You're going to figure out who the greatest evil is,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Only got a 1. That's not good.
Yeah, it's not great.
I think I got
Okay,
a 1
so-
too.
So
Or did I
just-
read it wrong?
No. Vasant got a 1. Marin got 4.
Okay. Okay, so lowest attribute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's your masks. Dude. Get it together. Okay, so attributes under. Okay, right.
So I think it's insight for Enor.
Well, insight and resolve are kind of like the same. The one is
Doesn't
okay, so
matter.
the one's got 2 dots in one,
Mm-hmm.
and 1 dot. The other one's got 1 dot in either in 2 different ones. Does that make a difference, or is that the same thing?
It's slightly
is different.
It's slightly different because it's how many skills you have. So how many you have in like the first column, and the one with the fewest in
Okay.
the first column is insight in this case.
Yeah. How
Okay,
many
that's insight.
different skills?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a 1. Okay.
Okay.
This might need to be tweaked. We'll see. We'll
Useful
see.
data.
Useful data, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
Lowest attribute's almost always going to be 1 die until people have been playing a while. So
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it depends how low we want this to be and how important essence is for the game being fun. So we'll find out.
well, apparently. All right.
All right. So, getting back to where I was. Oh, right. Engagement roll. That's what I was going to do. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So you start with 1 from sheer luck. You spared the life of the Powderman spy after capturing him, and were able to get intelligence from him, so that's another +1. Would this plan take less than a day to plan, or is it extremely straightforward, or is it overly complicated? I'm not sure it's either one, really, because it's like...
I think it's pretty quick. We're just like, to pull off this plan, we're going to replace the Powderman and then deal with the thing. It's
yeah,
pretty
but
quick, straightforward plan.
it's kind of contingent on the first part succeeding in order to get to the second part. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I have a plan B if the first part doesn't work.
What's the plan B?
I'm sorry, I mean plan F.
All right. So we'll stay at 2 for now. So do you, on your character sheet, you will see a list of associates that your character has. These are people your character knows. Do you feel like any of your associates could help you out with this plan?
I don't think any of mine. Tear out of the way. Get my actual sheet out.
Well,
I think mine are all from the church. I know. I have a wandering minister. He might have picked up on.
Well, I know someone who's a subtle smuggler, so they might have either some advice for me about what the people on the wagon will be doing or prepared for, or just give me some tips about how to trick my way into a smuggling operation.
I like that. Let's go with that. Let's say Alice, a subtle smuggler, is your kind of assistant in this and gives you some tips on how to infiltrate this smuggling operation.
Okay.
So that'll take us up to 3. Let's see.
I have an associate who could prove useful.
Who might that be?
Aether, a beast you met in the forest.
What do you think Aether's going to do for you in this case?
It doesn't specify what kind of beast Aether is. I mean, it could be a very observant beast. It could be an airborne scout. It could be a moose, because a moose is terrifying and violent.
All right, let's say a scout of some sort. That seems helpful. Okay. So, okay, and I think that's everything relevant in this case. So let's go ahead and make that roll. 1 second here. Just do a roll fortune here. 3 dice. Submit. Alright, so a total of 5. Where's that Stardust? Did I get this?
I think that's a starting position of pretty damn good.
It starts at a risky starting position, I think. Yeah, 5, risky. Okay, all right. So the first part of your plan is to ambush the Powdermen kind of before they're meeting up with these caravan guards, right?
Fair enough.
All right.
Yes, because we want to get their uniforms.
Yeah.
So
And a drop of blood.
And their blood.
and their blood.
Wait. Hold on.
No, just a little.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay. So, you sneak through the forest. Well, not through the forest. You come out of the forest, approach Sothmere, and after about a day's ride, you come across the location that you were told of this meeting. And you're, let's say, a day early at dusk, because you're hoping to catch these Powdermen who are waiting for the convoy to arrive. So it's at dusk. You creep forward until you're in a pretty good position for an ambush. The powdermen have set up a few tents and a fire. They're sitting around drinking and laughing, and maybe someone is, I don't know, playing a game of darts or something against a tree. You do notice that there is one powderman that looks to stand away from the others. He's got kind of a sour look on his face, and the others seem to be avoiding him, even though he looks to be kind of like better dressed and more and better equipped than the rest. You see the rest are kind of using somewhat shoddy looking rifles and pistols, but this one has like a brand new rifle slung across his back and a pair of gleaming daggers. Occasionally he barks orders at the other powdermen, and you get the sense this might be their lieutenant or some boss among them, but they don't seem to be particularly fond of him. So that's kind of the scene. Where would you guys kind of like to be in this scene?
Clearly up a tree.
Fair.
I have a folk ability to help with climbing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Vasant and Enor?
Probably somewhere near the outskirts of the group, possibly waiting for someone to throw a dart and miss. It depends on how many people are standing in a group doing one particular activity.
So you're thinking maybe you're going to try and pick someone off, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about Vasant?
I'm thinking I am also going to be in the outskirts of the bandit group. Figure out how to approach this though. So I'll be on the outskirts too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how we'll start is, Enor is kind of waiting, and eventually, at some point, someone gets too drunk, throws a dart, misses, it goes off into the woods. The others playing with him boo, and make him go fetch it out. So he's going to move kind of towards where you are lying in wait for him, Enor.
Okay, well, I think in that case, I'm gonna I suppose prowl. I mean, do I need to see whether I'm hidden and then try and see if I can attack him, or how does this work?
We count you as hidden because of your positioning.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, it's just which skill you want to use. Yeah.
Well, I want to try and take him down as quietly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, just trying to, if I can, just incapacitate him rather than kill him.
Okay. Sounds good. That'll probably be prowl or finesse.
I think probably prowl is more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm actually doing.
Okay.
Ambushing with close violence is one of the things it says.
Mm-hmm.
So, risky, I suppose. Normal difficulty.
Yeah, risky standard.
Okay. Ooh! Go me!
All right, so you nail it. You take out one of these powdermen, just quietly, probably grab him and, choke him out. Sleep, sleep like a baby. But yeah,
I've already written a letter that I'm gonna put in his pocket somewhere, explaining to him the mistakes that have brought him to this position. That maybe he wants to reconsider his choice of friendships and alliances, and maybe that this is a sign that says he should reconsider and maybe get an honest job somewhere.
I just love the idea of Enor like walking around with these like little scrolls of parchment. Is like, have you been mugged or like knocked out?
Identity stolen by a mysterious creature of the woods?
Maybe it's time.
Reconsider your life choices.
Maybe it's time to reconsider your life choices. Consider becoming a baker.
Are you a bad guy?
Think about how you ended up at this point in your life, where mysteriously falling asleep in the woods was not that unusual.
I mean, come on, you have to understand that you might be a bad guy, but you're not a bad guy.
Exactly. I love it. All right.
Gee, thanks, Satan.
All right. So you take down one of the powdermen quickly and quietly.
And then strip him naked.
Right. Probably at some point. What would Enor and Visant like to do while this is going on?
Well, we wanted to get the whole group to stop, right? Not just one dude.
Presumably.
What's the definition of a desperate action?
A desperate action is something that is like high risk, high reward, kind of. Like, I don't know, or something where you're in a bad position. Like, fighting someone off with a spoon when they have a sword.
Running out and terrify them would be a desperate action.
At this point, yeah, I'd say so.
Marin, do you have ideas? That aren't just I stabbed someone.
Okay, if you don't want to actually talk to me, don't say my name.
Well, to be fair, he's got two ideas: jump out of a tree and stab someone.
That's fair.
The question is, how close to the powder man am I in this tree?
As close as you want to be, really.
I am close enough to jump out and stab and whatnot.
You are close enough to jump out and do a stab if you want.
Woo!
And we coordinate. So I'm gone, and then he jumps out and starts stabbing people while I'm distracting them.
That sounds good. I like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So
and
let's.
Then I have. Okay. I have one essence.
You are very broken up for me.
They got a 1 on that roll.
Oh, there we go.
I have 1 essence. Yes.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to use awe in this case.
Mm-hmm.
To cause the distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to spend that 1 essence to do shock and awe. The awe, I'm in a desperate position. The effect is, what's +1 from standard? Great?
Yes.
Submit. I don't get any bonus die, I assume.
Yeah. You're correct.
Okay.
So you're going to do the awe, and I'm going to be the shock.
Exactly.
Right. So I got 4 and a 2. Add them up?
No.
Negative.
No. You take the highest result, which in this case
so
is a 4. So 4 or 5 on a desperate is the thing happens, but there's a consequence. So, and in this case, a severe consequence. So you
Hi,
jump.
my name is Consequence.
Yeah, so you jump out basically to terrify these powdermen, and you do immediately get all of their attention, but they're not all just like completely flat-footed. One of them is going to pull out a pistol and shoot you, unless you choose to resist the consequence.
So how do I resist a consequence?
So in this case, because you were using awe, you would roll using your mask attribute. So you would just click on mask, and you'll take an amount of stress equal to 6 minus your roll of mask, essentially.
And it would be physical stress?
No, stress is abstracted out.
Sorry. I have hard scale. You make spend special armor to have this of resistance. So would that be like I roll mask and then have whatever is left over after the roll?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to try to resist.
I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you. It's very slow and broken up.
Yeah, it's kind of going in and out. But I'm not sure there's much we can do
And there
about
it's
that.
fine. But
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mask, and then we'll work. Submit.
Okay.
Yay!
So no stress. You're fine. You don't even need to have it.
Okay.
So yeah.
I did my thing. Shock.
All right, Marin. Which ability are you
I
using?
guess I'm going to be doing my thing,
Mm-hmm.
which includes laughing. Small bundle of slaughter flies through the air.
All right.
Go, Mary.
Am I risky or desperate?
Let's call this risky.
Am I risky on this one?
Yes, risky.
Yeah. I don't think it would count as desperate yet. I mean, you kind of you plan to do that, right?
Yeah. Risky. Standard.
Yeah, I think Least is having some problems.
Hello? Testing, 1,
There
2,
we go.
3.
Yeah, there we go.
There we
Got
go.
you.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
You're back.
Roger, roger.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to leap from the tree with a joyous laughter of death. This is
Risky, yes.
risk or desperate.
Risky.
And we lost him again. Well, I'll go with risky and see what happens. Oh, 6.
I hear the typing. Like, what is
Hello?
what is the actual plan? Hi.
Hi.
You're back.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so, a 6. Okay, excellent. So Marin, do you want to use your cutlass for this?
Scaly. Gonna slaughter as they please.
Thank you for saying that and not actually, doing that.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was fine.
Good.
All good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. So Marin uses this distraction to effectively cut a swath through the powdermen as they're distracted. So we'll move that clock up 3
Yeah, I
counts.
think the airborne slaughter ball.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That is Merit.
Okay, so at this point you've taken about half of the powdermen out. And they're going to basically try and get away as much as possible from Marin as Marin kind of closes the distance with them. What would you guys like to do next?
Well, I'm probably sort of aiming towards the wagons so that we can steal the wagon.
There is no.
That was the plan, right?
There is no wagon here yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're going to bring the wagon to us, and then we're going to take the stuff from the people dressed up as powder.
Yeah, the only wagon is the original wagon with the gunpowder.
Yeah, okay.
The powdermen were going to
Powder's
take.
not here yet.
They were going to take
Okay.
a tithe of the gunpowder off the wagon. So
Ah,
Okay, so we're in a situation where some of the guys got killed by the slaughter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's about half of them left.
I guess I can just skirmish. I can just start punching people in the face.
Sure. That's always an option.
Let me. I mean, I did my distraction. I guess I could try to terrify more of them off. Actually, I'll go with that. I don't have any more essence, but I feel like only using the mask once would be a waste. So I'm gonna use awe. Is it still desperate or is it risky?
We'll say it's risky at this point.
Effect is standard because I'm out of essence. No bonus dice. Got a 5.
Okay, a 5. Two of the powdermen will say drop their weapons and go running off into the forest. But the lieutenant kind of locks eyes with you and tries to rally his men to him. And he opens his mouth to shout and scream, and you see that he has the distinctive pointed fangs of a vampire as he moves towards you, Enor. Or Visant, sorry.
Okay. Is that my consequences then?
Yeah, that basically you've attracted the attention of their boss.
Can I tackle him, or do I have to respond with the same dice roll?
You could tackle him if you want.
That seems like a bad idea.
You could also wait for
Yeah.
one of your friends to help you out here.
I'm gonna wait for the person who has the mask called Slaughter to get over here and help me.
talking is a free action. It's not gonna
He's got
point the cutlass.
pointing and shouting fucking silver fucking teeth or something. I don't know.
Yeah, point him. Welcome to your doom.
Okay.
And yeah, I ain't gonna rush him.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I suppose this is more slaughter.
Yeah. Close personal violence.
more slaughter?
Me? Slaughter?
I know.
All right. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's really not good.
No. All right. So unless you choose to resist the consequence, actually, you know what? That's a terrible roll. You're going to get 2 consequences. So
Damn it.
So the first one is he sees you coming and moving more quickly than your eyes could possibly have seen, he picks you up and just throws you, slamming you into a tree. So you're going to take an injury and you're going to be in a desperate position, and you can resist those consequences separately. Like, say, if you want to take the injury but resist being in a desperate position, or vice versa, or you can resist both. What would you like to do?
Go ahead.
Is there a reason not consequences?
Say again?
Is there a reason consequences?
Is there a reason for consequences? Is that or
Not to resist.
Oh, not to resist. If you don't have enough stress, essentially, and you think it's going to put you over your limit.
Gotcha.
Where the hell is the stress on this sheet, anyways?
It's on your character sheet, under where it says packed. You see a stress with a bar of stress things.
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, I was looking at the math sheet. It said essence. So, okay. Sure. I will resist the desperate position.
Okay.
What do I resist that with?
Let's say your mask, because you're still because that was the action
I was
you took.
using a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I only take one stress.
Mm-hmm.
Mark that off. And as for the physical injury, I am going to mark my special armor for that. Because I took Flesh Ward.
Okay.
Flesh Mend.
Nice. So yeah, so you feel some of your ribs break and crack as you hit this tree, but you quickly scramble up and you feel your Sylvan DNA, or not your Sylvan DNA, what? You basically feel you feel the mask knit your bones back together quickly, and you're able to shake off this consequence. Okay, Anor, we haven't heard from you in a while. What are you up to?
Well, have I heard that this is a fanged one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, that's going to definitely pull his attention away from his mission of mercy with this bandit, and he's going to he's got the mask on.
Mm-hmm.
So he can actually use Deceive to basically just come charging out of the, just shooting from a distance, I suppose.
Okay. So you want to shoot?
Oh wait, no, that's sorry. I was reading the
yeah, the thing.
sort of-
yeah, it's
the thing,
incorrect.
which is hunt. So yeah, I mean, this guy didn't have antlers, so I am. Yeah, I'm just gonna go charging towards him.
Okay, sounds good. Which action are you gonna roll for that?
Well, I think still prowl probably.
Okay, because you're kind of sneaking up on him at this point. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
it's sort of like I'm trying to mimic the kind of behavior of a deer running through the forest kind of thing.
I like it. Sounds good.
So rather than yelling something, I'm going to just, as if like an animal nearby has been startled.
Mhm.
Ugh. But
Oof.
he's too angry and worked up about this idea that there's an actual vampire he can go kill.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he doesn't manage to surprise anybody.
Okay. Yeah, he kind of again sees you coming, and then with superhuman speed grabs you by the horns and basically twists you over and back onto the ground, putting you in a desperate position unless you choose to resist it.
Does being in a desperate position give me any benefits, like making me fight more
No, it's usually just
Not
kind of
really.
worse
Okay.
for you.
Okay, well, then I'm going to definitely try and resist.
Okay.
Because I know what these things can do.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Let's have you
How do I
resist
do that in
with
this case?
prowess.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any bonus die.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
Aha!
Uh,
You saw me coming, but I saw him coming too.
Yeah, you basically, like, you kind of wrestle with him for a minute, and then throw
Yeah.
him back, and you back up as well, too. So nothing
Yeah.
lost, nothing gained. Enor,
Okay.
you've seen both of your allies clash with this vampire, and have it not go so well for them. What would you like to do?
Smart answer is not punch the vampire. The
You
smart
can break his
answer
teeth.
punch the vampire. However, I am lacking in non-vampire punching. Okay.
You are allowed to declare that you have equipment and use it.
True. Let me see what equipment there is.
Things like bows and crossbows.
I would recommend...
Bows,
guns.
crossbows.
One thing I would...
Ashwood I remember being important.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So, Ashwood is particularly potent against vampires.
Oh, good.
So I'm gonna get some Ashwood. Is that an Ashwood something, or is it just Ashwood?
Um,
Like, is it an Ashwood bow?
so how it works
Or
is... let me take a look here. Terror. So yeah, you'll click off Ashwood, and you don't need to... That doesn't subtract from your load. It's just that you're using Ashwood in this scenario. And it comes with kind of 3 uses. So you'll check off one of the uses of Ashwood for the one you've
Okay.
taken. And in this case, if you're using, like, presumably a bow or a crossbow to fire an Ashwood arrow, you would check off, which kind of bow you're using or crossbow.
I have bad news. Or I guess not bad news, a questionable news. I have nothing in Hunt. I only have dots in Skirmish or Prowl.
Well,
might-
hunt
might-
is more of a tracking skill than
So what you
Or attack with precision, shooting from a distance.
so you can shoot from up close. You can shotgun him with a short bow, maybe.
Okay. Because yeah, I was gonna ask if there was a way for me to get like an Ashwood. Well, I guess a Ashwood blade would be silly. Bash him with an Ashwood shield. Okay, I'll get a short bow.
Okay.
Actually, I'll get a crossbow then. Let's do a crossbow.
All right. Sounds good.
And I'm gonna shoot with an Ashwood crossbow. I'm gonna try to stake him
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Yeah.
So let's roll skirmish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a risky position, I assume.
Right.
And then standard effect.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ashwood, does that add anything to like bonus die?
Oh no, sorry. That would increase your effect. I'll take that into account in a minute.
Okay. Submit.
6. There you go.
6.
All right. So full success, and
Good
it
book
is
says nothing about shotguns and kneecaps.
or hearts, as the case may be, because you nailed this
Or
vampire.
crossbows and hearts.
Exactly, because you nailed this vampire straight through the heart, staking him cleanly, and he falls to the ground, immobile, and just kind of like gasping and like occasionally like twisting in pain. But yeah, you got him. He's done.
Hearts and minds, my children. Hearts and minds.
And with that, the rest of the powder men see their vampire lieutenant lose, and therefore flee. Oh, Mib is rebooting.
Yeah, I'm hearing some echoes from him.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on time here. We could use this as like a pretty good place to stop. Um, Basically, we'll just kind of fast forward through the rest. Um, it, that yeah, you guys pull off the rest of your plan without a hitch, disguise yourselves as these powdermen, and then are able to steal the powder out from under them. Yeah. You might want to go ahead and mute Mib for a minute, because I think he's echoing. There's something going on.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
What was in the thing?
Oh, right. Sorry to disappoint. Nothing so exciting. It was a locked chest filled with blood sterling, a bribe to be paid to someone somewhere that you intercepted.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, not amazing, but pretty cool.
Yeah. Sorry, time kind of snuck up on me there a little bit.
No, yeah.
And I don't want to push you guys past the time that we set. So that was successful. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here.